What is up, bros and broettes? I'm Inkslasher 44, and every year at this time of the year, people start hating on Call of Duty. Every single time, no matter what. And I really like to see what they complain about this time of year, because what basically I can take from them, that's something that needs to be fixed. Not because it's a necessarily bad thing in the game, but a year later, people start to die off of it. The honeymoon period of the game is gone, and they kind of give you their real thoughts on the game, or in my opinion, what made them stop playing the game. Because at this point in the year, a lot of other people are playing other things. For example, like when Until Dawn came out, the new Destiny expansion, or whatever, they've moved on to other things. But I want to see what it is, and in my opinion, it was the supply drops, and not the way they were at first, what they evolved into, and I'm going to explain all of this in this commentary. So, the question of the day is, did supply drops ruin Advanced Warfare, as you can tell by the title? So, let's start by talking about what supply drops were when the game came out. So, they started out by adding an extra level of depth to the game, and more content as well. There are way more guns in this game than any other Call of Duty game ever, and it's because of supply drops. And I thought this was fantastic, having weapon variants, having a bunch of different new weapons that were based off of base variants, but were new. This didn't require any money or anything whatsoever. This, I thought, was fantastic. And then the game moved on, and they added variants. They added things like the M1 Irons, the Ohm, and the AE4 that all came out with the DLC. On top of these, through supply drops, you could get these weapon variants for those guns too. And so adding content added more stuff for the supply drops. Great. This is still going strong. Then it got a little weird. Then they released advanced supply drops, charging money for them. That I could deal with. That I could deal with 100%. You know what? If people want to pay them, skip the process of just grinding to get them. Alright, you can buy them. That's your thing. Fine. So, people bought them and got all the content, and then they're like, you know what? We can add more content to these supply drops. We can just keep adding stuff. So they added different exosuits. They added different aesthetics. And then, eventually, started adding legendary weapons, legendary gear. And then they started adding weapons that you could only get through supply drops. And then this is where things get bad. And not because it's making people pay more money. No, not that. It's creating a divide in the game. And this is what I don't like in any Call of Duty game ever. In fact, DLC is one of the things I don't like in Call of Duty games because of this. So basically what I mean by this is there are the people that just buy the regular Call of Duty game. No expansions, none of that. Then there are people who buy the game, and then they buy one of the expansions, or two of the expansions. And then there are people who buy the whole kit and caboodle. They try to get past this by giving people season passes, which is a pretty elegant solution to this problem, but what this does is it creates a divide in the community. And let's say my one friend only buys the first DLC, but I buy all of them. All of a sudden, I don't want to play with that friend, because whenever I play with him, I can't play a bunch of the content that I've bought. So then this divide happens when they add guns like the MP40, the M16, the AK-47. When they add these to the game, they're making you essentially pay more money to get these weapons, and then some people you're playing against will have them, but you won't. And how is that any fair? It kind of pushes you away from the game. These divides are almost as bad as random deaths in the game. Random deaths in the game are the one sin you never want in a first-person shooter games. For example, something just randomly falling from the sky on a map that if it hits you, it kills you, would be a horrible, horrible idea. Anything like that. Now, this whole divide in the community is, I think, the second worst thing. So basically what it's doing is creating a divide between the people who have money in the community and the people who don't have money in the community. And that's the problem that supply drops caused closer to the end of the game. At the beginning of the game, fine, there was only a limited amount of content, but when they started adding things and adding things and adding things and then adding things you could only get from advanced supply drops, and then adding things you had to basically open supply drops for just to get even the base variant for the weapon, that's ridiculous. If they gave you just the base variant and then had you try to get the other ones, I would have been completely okay with that. But when it creates this divide, that is something Call of Duty just does not need. It separates the community and gives people a reason not to play the game, and that's the last thing a Call of Duty developer wants. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm really curious what you think. Did they ruin Call of Duty? Absolutely not. Did it create a divide in Call of Duty? Absolutely, and that is, like I said, never wanted in a Call of Duty game. So like I said, if you enjoyed, hit that like button. Check me out on Twitter, link in the description. It's the best way to keep in contact with me, and subscribe to join the Ink Army. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, peace out.